There comes a moment when the exhaustion becomes too loud to ignore. You've given everything, your heart, your patience, your forgiveness, until there's almost nothing left for you. You ask yourself, why do I always feel like the villain in their story? Why do I stay? If you've ever felt like your empathy was turned against you, if you've ever wondered whether your kindness is the reason you're hurting, you're not alone, and you're not broken. You're an empath, but that doesn't mean you're meant to be a sponge for someone else's chaos. First, let's pause right here and recognize the truth. Your pain is valid. If you're watching this, you're likely someone who feels deeply, loves sincerely, and gives far more chances than most. That's not a flaw, that's a strength. But when that strength is exploited by someone with narcissistic tendencies, it becomes the very thing that traps you in cycles of confusion, guilt, and self-doubt. Maybe you've spent sleepless nights replaying conversations, wondering what you did wrong. Maybe you've apologized for your own reactions more than the harm done to you. Maybe you felt like your ability to forgive is being mistaken for permission to mistreat you. If so, take a deep breath. You're not overreacting. You're not too sensitive. You're responding like anyone with a compassionate heart would to emotional manipulation that is expertly disguised as love. Let's also be clear, this isn't about diagnosing or labeling someone else. This is about you. This is about reclaiming the emotional clarity that's been buried under guilt, gaslighting, and shame. You might feel like no one sees the full picture. To the outside world, the narcissistic person may appear charming, successful, or even generous, but behind closed doors, there's a different reality, a slow erosion of your voice, your needs, and your sense of self. And the most painful part? You keep trying harder, believing that your love might finally reach them. This is your safe space. You're not here to be blamed or fixed. You're here to be understood. You are not weak for loving deeply, but it's time to look at that love through a new lens, one that includes you, your needs, and your healing. So what does it actually mean to be an empath in a narcissistic relationship? An empath is someone who has a deep emotional attunement to others. You pick up on energy shifts, feel the pain of those around you as if it were your own, and often place others' needs before your own because you feel their suffering. You're likely drawn to people who seem emotionally wounded because you genuinely want to help them heal. On the surface, this might seem like the perfect match for someone who presents as needing constant validation, admiration, and emotional caretaking, which are all classic hallmarks of narcissistic behavior. But underneath, it's a dangerous dynamic. The narcissist often seeks control, while the empath seeks connection. You see, narcissists are emotionally underdeveloped. They're not interested in true intimacy. They're interested in control, admiration, and keeping others orbiting around their needs. To them, your empathy isn't something to cherish, it's something to use. And for an empath who thrives on helping and harmony, this can feel like a personal failure every time your efforts don't fix the relationship. What starts as chemistry turns into chaos. Over time, you begin to carry the emotional weight of the entire relationship. You silence your own needs to keep the peace. You internalize blame for every argument. You try harder and harder and harder until you forget what your own emotional boundaries ever looked like. But the truth is, no amount of compassion can compensate for someone's lack of accountability. Understanding your role doesn't mean blaming yourself. It means seeing the pattern clearly so you can break free from it. It means learning where your empathy ends and where your self-respect begins. Because being an empath doesn't mean endlessly absorbing someone else's pain. It means learning how to honor your own. Here's the turning point, and it may feel like both a revelation and a heartbreak. You are not responsible for healing someone who refuses to acknowledge their harm. Let that sink in. Empaths often believe that if they just love harder, explain better, or stay patient enough, the other person will eventually see them, hear them, and change. But in narcissistic dynamics, that moment never really comes. What you're waiting for, the apology, the genuine accountability, the reciprocity, is held just out of reach, like a carrot on a stick, and you keep chasing it because your heart is loyal, because your love is deep. But love, when unreciprocated and unprotected, becomes a cage. The real shift begins when you stop asking, why can't they love me the way I need? And start asking, why am I staying somewhere where my needs are never met? That's not selfish. That's self-preservation. Empathy doesn't mean sacrificing yourself for someone else's growth. True empathy includes empathy for yourself. It means recognizing when your kindness is being manipulated. It means understanding that being loving and being loved are not the same thing. And it's okay to grieve this realization. It's okay to feel angry, betrayed, confused, even scared. Because letting go of this pattern isn't just about walking away from someone else. It's about walking back toward yourself. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that you handed over, piece by piece, in hopes of peace that never came. This is your pivot point, the moment where clarity starts to whisper louder than chaos. You don't need to keep fixing what you didn't break. You don't need to keep shrinking just to be tolerated. You were never too much. You were never asking for too much. You were simply asking the wrong person. Now comes the work of rebuilding, but not from scratch, because everything you need is already inside you. You're not broken. You're rediscovering. Start by reclaiming your voice. For so long, your truth may have been silenced, dismissed, or distorted. Journaling can be a powerful tool here. Write down your experiences, your emotions, your doubts. Seeing your reality on paper can cut through the gaslighting fog. It anchors your truth. Next, rebuild your boundaries. Not as walls, but as doors with locks. Boundaries are not punishments. They are protections. No is a complete sentence. You're allowed to say no without explaining. You're allowed to walk away from conversations that leave you feeling drained. You're allowed to protect your energy. In fact, it's your responsibility. Then, begin to nurture your identity outside of the relationship. What do you love? What brings you joy when no one is watching? Empaths often lose themselves in the emotions of others. It's time to rediscover your own emotional landscape, your passions, your values, your dreams. Surround yourself with people who see you, not just those who need you. Healthy relationships aren't about intensity. They're about consistency, mutual respect, and safety. You deserve that, and it's real. It exists. Practice self-trust. This may be the hardest part. After emotional abuse, your intuition can feel unreliable. But that inner voice, the one that whispers when something doesn't feel right, it never left. It just got quiet. Start listening again. Start making small decisions just for you. Start honoring your own discomfort. And remember, healing isn't linear. There will be days you miss the relationship. That doesn't mean you made the wrong decision. It means you're human. Emotional abuse creates trauma bonds, cycles of highs and lows that are addictive. Breaking free from them takes time, patience, and massive self-compassion. There's nothing wrong with you for loving deeply. The world needs empaths, but it also needs empaths who are awake to their power, who know that their sensitivity isn't weakness, it's wisdom, who know that they are not here to rescue others at the expense of their own peace. You were not put on this earth to be someone's emotional dumping ground. You were meant to feel, to connect, to create, not to constantly recover from emotional wounds. So step into your healing, own your story, redefine what love means to you, not as something you chase, but as something that starts within. If this message resonated with you, please know that you are not alone, and you never were. Healing begins with awareness, and you've already taken that first step just by being here. If you found value in this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may need this message today. Our channel, Path to Emotional Clarity, is a growing space for emotional healing, truth, and empowerment, and your voice matters here. Comment below with your thoughts, your experiences, or even just a heart emoji if you're still finding the words. You belong here, and you're worthy of peace. Keep choosing you every single day.